Number 31. So we have a parabola and it's upside down, which is why we have a negative. And what are they asking about? Model's profit in blah, blah, based on model. What is the maximum daily profit in dollars? So where's the maximum? That's going to be at the top of the parabola, right? You can try to plug in or find the vertex form, but it's easier just to look and see that it's at $60. And that is actually our answer, and it's that easy. Number 32. So P equals 698Q. So P is the theoretical power, and Q is the flow rate. And that's all we really need from that. Notice they have their units, but the units line up at the end anyways. So what is the flow rate? So find Q given P, theoretical power. So 1029123 equals 698Q. And we want to solve for Q. So we just divide by 698, 698, and we get 1474 point ... Doesn't matter, we're rounding. The answer is in fact 1500. So I'm assuming there's a typo here in this number or in this number, as we've seen the typos earlier in this test. But that's how you do it. Either way, maybe there's some reason around that I'm missing. Let me know. Number 33. So there's a line, and they said it has 0.02 and 30. So you can kind of plot that if you want right away. So that's going to be 0, 2 and 3, 0, right? Because that's the x value. X value is 0, so you go here. And so all I really want you to be able to do is decide which one is the y-intercept, right? Because they asked about B, the y-intercept. That's going to be this one, right? The one on the y-axis. And so B is going to equal 2, not 3, right? Because that is the x-intercept. You don't want to get those mixed up. Number 34. Trevor works as a sales associate at a retail store. He is normally paid 20% of the retail value. He only gets 20%, but he can also earn a bonus. When he earns a bonus, he gets an extra 15%. During one period, he sold 3,500 and earned a bonus. So he does have that bonus. How much did he get? So there's the 3,500, right? That's the total sale. How much does he get paid? Well, there's 20% of that. So it's going to be times 0.2, only 20%, right? Not an extra 20% of it. And then how do we factor in that 15%? Is it going to be 0.15? No, because he's paid an additional 15%, right? An additional 15% of whatever he was paid before. So that whole thing times 1.15. He's not losing, 85% of it. He's not getting only 15% of everything. He's getting an extra 15%. So that's the 1 is the 100% plus the extra 15%. When you multiply that out, you get 805. Number 35. So we have a basic linear setup. C of x equals mx plus 500. We have the company's total cost in dollars to produce X shirts given by the function above, blah, blah, blah. X has to be bigger than 0. Nothing special there. The total cost to produce 100 shirts is $800. So I see that as 100 shirts, the X value, comma, $800, the total cost, which is the Y value, right? You don't have to see it as a coordinate point, but you do have to be able to plug in later. So however you want to look at that. What is the total cost to produce 1,000 shirts, right? So we need to do some steps before we deal with that. We can't really deal with that yet. So we're going to figure out what M is by plugging in. So we have 800, that's our total cost, equals M, the thing we don't know, times 100 plus 500, right? So it's going to be 300 equals 100M. M equals 3. So we now have a formula. I'm just going to write Y equals 3x plus 500. And then if we want to plug in 1,000, we get equals 3 times 1, 2, 3 plus 500. And that's going to be 3,500. And that is our answer. Number 36. This is a long one, so read it carefully. Total distance d in meters traveled by an object is moving in a straight line is modeled by a quadratic function. That is defined in terms of t. Okay, so it's modeled by a quadratic function. At a time of t equals 10, you have a distance, t equals 20, another distance, And then they asked about if it starts at 0, what is the total distance traveled? Okay, so quadratic function, ax squared plus bx plus c. I'm going to start with the easiest one. 1050, 2200. Again, you can think of it as quarter points. So 0, 0, 10, 50, 20, 200, right? So 0, 0 is the easiest one. So we're going to plug in, this is y equals 0 equals 0 plus 0 plus c. All those 0 out. So we know c equals 0, right? And so now we can go back to our original, and we have y equals ax squared plus bx, and then plus 0. So just that. Now that we've done that, we've used that to find c, we'll use the other two. We'll have 50 equals a times 10 squared is 100, right? A times 100 plus 10b, we'll say. And then we're going to have 200 equals, this is going to be 20 squared is 400, so 400a plus 20b. All we're doing here is plugging in these two coordinate points. That's all we're doing to get these. So now we have a system of equations, and I'm just going to double this times -2, right? So that we can do elimination, because elimination is easier, to me at least. So that's going to turn into -100 equals -200a minus 20b. That's going to be the same thing for the other one. 200 equals 400a plus 20b. Cancels. We're going to add them up. The reason I did negative is I like to add. You don't have to do the negative. You can subtract and all that. 100 equals 200a. And so we have a equals 1/2. Now we have our a equals 1/2. And just like a normal system of equations, we're going to plug back in, and we're going to go up here to do it in the beige. Okay, so we have 50 equals 1/2 times 100, 100 plus 10b. Plugging back into this equation, you can do either of the two. So that's going to be 50. Oh, b equals 0 because you minus the 50 minus the 50. Now, we're not done still. Now that we have our full equation, we know that y equals 1/2 x squared, right? So b was 0, a was 1/2, c was 0 back here. So everything canceled out except for this 1/2. Now we can just plug in, because they asked, what about after 30 seconds? So we're going to have y equals 1/2 times 30 squared. 30 squared is 900 over 2. Y equals 450. That's going to be our answer. I know that was long and convoluted. The basic setup is you draw your original equation, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, because they said it's quadratic. That's the reason we do that. Now we need to figure out each, so we start plugging in one at a time. Easiest is 0, 0, because that just cancels out to 0. And then you plug in these two, you get your system of two equations, and you solve. Things you've seen before, just a lot of them layered together. Yeah, I wish there was an easier way for you guys to do that. Number 37. So we have a bunch of scores, Group A, Group B, 2 to 10, don't really care that much. 9 players in Group A, 11 players in Group B. Okay, that's useful. Number 37, I already said that. The median of the scores for Group B is how much greater than the median scores for Group A. So we can just, how much greater than? That's a difference, right? How much greater is 8 than 5? Well, 3, right? So we're going to do some kind of subtraction, and then we're going to find the median for each. So what's the median for Group A? Well, there's 9 students, so the median would be the 5th student, right? Halfway through. I like to add 1 and divide by 2, so it'd be 10 over 2 would give you the 5th student. Notice we don't go to score 5, right? It's the 5th student. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is in fact at score 5, luckily for people who make mistakes. So it's going to be 5. And then what is the median score for Group B? Let's see. So Group B has 11 players. So plus 1, 12, divided by 2, 6. So when you do the 6 players, so 0, 0, 0, 0, 4, 5, 6. So the 6th player got a score of 6. So the difference is going to be 1. This is negative because I think I did it backwards, but your answer would be positive 1. And difference is generally positive. Number 38. The mean of the scores for Group A is 5. Okay, so that's useful. The mean of scores for Group B is 7. What is the mean of the scores for 20 players? So the mean, we're treating as a normal mean. This is the mean we care about, the mean of the 20 players, right? So it's going to be over 20, right? Something over 20. What are the total scores for all those 20 players? Well, Group A had 9 players, right? And on average, they had 5 points each. So that's 9 players of 5 points each. That's how many came from Group A. Plus all the scores from Group B. That's going to be 11 players with 7 points each, right? Kind of mix those up, but multiplication is fine. And so, once again, we just calculated the mean for the 20 players. So 20 goes on bottom, normal mean, and we need to find the total scores. This is the scores from A, this is the scores from B, and we just add them up, because that's the total. And if you calculate that, that's going to be 6.1, and that is your answer. So that's just finding the mean like normal, just a weird way to find the top sum. And that is it for this test.